Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing all right out there tonight, and more importantly, staying safe. And we got a big time situation unfolding. I had no intentions on making a video this evening, but I thought it was the right thing to do. We got a lot of loyal viewers who view from the Northeast, the New England areas, and we need to talk about this. And it's really what you're seeing on your screen. It's a lot of rain and the potential for catastrophic flooding in areas of like Vermont, southern sections of New York State, Western Mass, areas of Connecticut, maybe even areas of New Hampshire also. And we even have catastrophic flooding ongoing right now. I hate to use that term if it's not necessary, but even the National Weather Service is using this term. We have a flash flooding emergency going on in portions of southern New York State, and that's what this entire video is going to be talking about. We need to get as much awareness out as what is going on as possible. For example, in Vermont, the rain is just starting to really take over the state. Hasn't really unfolded yet. I would argue that it's unfolding a little bit later than originally forecast, but please don't let your guard down. This is going to go downhill fast, and it is. All these areas right here in these boxes, that is flash flood warning. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. But let's get rolling here, because there's a lot to talk about and a short amount of panels here, but we're going to break it down as detailed as possible. So all these areas, and it might be a little difficult to see on your screen, whether you're watching on a TV or your phone, but all these areas right here in kind of these yellowish orange boxes, these are flash flood warnings, and they have been up for hours. And these are these heavily populated areas, from like I would say just northeast of the Baltimore area through Philadelphia, all the way to just northwest of New York City. So it's a lot of these areas right here. Once you get into northern New Jersey and north of New York City, these are some higher terrain. You got the Poconos, and then this eventually gets into the Catskills, and you get all the way up into the Green Mountains. And then you got the Berkshires right here, which these areas will be heavily impacted. It's not just rain, guys, but you got severe thunderstorms up here too. So you're not just dealing with a solid, heavy, soaking rain. You are definitely dealing with some severe weather also, okay? But I think as the hours progress, this will turn more into just a lot of heavy rain. Down here in the Delmarva region, southern areas of New Jersey, a nasty line of storms is making its way through. You got a severe thunderstorm warning up for portions of Delaware and a portion of New Jersey, and we got some storms firing up behind this. But this is the big storyline. This is what's going on. A lot of rain is accumulating quick out there. So let's talk about let's talk about what's going on overnight tonight, and then we'll go into tomorrow, which now has a high risk. It's a rare high risk of excessive rainfall. Okay, that's like that's the highest level in the excessive rainfall category. So it's like a level 4 out of 5. Think of this. You got the high risk in the Storm Prediction Center. This is the high risk with flooding. So between now and tomorrow morning, in this red area, you still got the moderate risk. This could update throughout the overnight hours. But remember, this only lasts through Monday morning. You have at least a 40% risk of flash flood guidance being met within this red area. The yellow is at least a 15% risk. But flash flooding is already occurring. You can throw this out the window. But just if your area is not undergoing flash flooding, just know it can. So this is the latest. I want to show you a couple things that's ongoing right now. This is off Twitter. This is a flash flood emergency for all these areas right here. This does include basically a section, I would say an hour or so north of New York City. This is right inside, this is just north of that New Jersey, New York City, New York State line. But Fort Montgomery, we have, I believe it's basically a discussion out of that region. Someone says that a bridge went down, but flash flood emergencies, this is a life-threatening situation. So you have ongoing flooding, definitely ongoing in Fort Montgomery right now, New York. So, and you look here, this is what somebody reported. A train spotter said a portion of US 6 has collapsed near the traffic circle west of the Palisades Interstate Parkway. Okay, so this is in Fort Montgomery, New York. So this is becoming a big deal, and I can guarantee you there's a lot of other areas. I believe I heard somebody not heard, but I read someone comment in the comments from this morning's video that there's been some cars that's been just washed off the road in areas of eastern PA. There's a lot of other areas too. Let me know what you guys are seeing for sure. But by the time I'm done with this video, there'll be a whole nother area under the gun. So we will. It looks like we're gonna have to back this up a little bit. We will back this up. We'll start around 8 p.m. It's 5:30 right now. Let's back it up 1 hour. So the HRRR model doing an all right job of depicting what's going on right now. And we'll continue to watch this. And in fact, let's just get going and zoom in a little bit closer to this. Go down to New York, and let's zoom into this. So this is starting right about right now, an hour ahead of when I'm making this video now. So we'll continue to watch the rain. And it just does not stop for all of eastern New York State, which is portions of the Adirondacks, the Green Mountains of Vermont. These up here, if you don't know much about New England, this is higher elevations. Now, not everybody is a gigantic mountain 6,000-7,000 feet up in the air. The highest peak in the Northeast is Mount Washington, which I don't know. Somebody quote me on this. I believe it's over 6,600 feet tall. It's the second highest peak east of the Mississippi. Mount Mitchell beats it by several feet here in North Carolina, here in the southern portions of the Alps. So Mount Washington is the second highest, only a few feet under it. But anyways, if I'm getting that wrong, you guys tell me. But anyways, we don't want to ramble on that. Regardless, Green Mountains here, Berkshire's here, Catskills, and the Poconos right into here. So all this rain is surging, pushing up against these higher elevation, kind of like an upslope flow, if you will, where you got just a big time moist flow coming out in general out of the southeast, pushing northwest up against some of these higher hills, these higher elevations, and all those regions I just mentioned. Guys, if you hear any kids in the background, it's because my girls are trying a new food, and I need to definitely make this video and get on through it as quick as possible to help out, because they're definitely getting upset here. But we'll keep this rolling. Rainfall continues to really hit areas of Vermont as we get to what time frame we're at. We're right in the wee hours of the morning. It's still raining like crazy. The heavier rain could be into here. It could be further down here. But, I mean, you still got storms moving on shore into Long Island. Could be a very stormy night for Long Island. You got a lot of heavy rainfall in Connecticut. Western Mass will also be an area under the gun. And you got this lasting throughout the overnight hours. This is a night to night in eastern New York State, Vermont, areas of New Hampshire, western and central Mass, Connecticut, especially Vermont and those eastern sections of New York State, where you want to just set an alarm every couple hours. You want to, heck, you might, I know this sounds unrealistic for some people, but you might just want to stay up all night, pull an all-nighter. There's probably going to be a lot of businesses and towns that's potentially going to be closed tomorrow in these regions. If not, then please stay safe. But that was between now, so let's go back. This is between now and tomorrow morning. Look at all this heavy rain. Now, I know this looks just like green and yellow. You're thinking, Mitch, that's not a lot of heavy rain. But the atmosphere here is super saturated, which means the column is fully moistened all the way up into the upper levels of the atmosphere, which means the atmosphere is going to squeeze out every bit of moisture possible. So these are almost tropical type downpours, even though this isn't really coming from a tropical system. So this is all the way through tomorrow morning, and then we start tomorrow. So rainfall just between now and tomorrow around 8 a.m., another 2 to 3, in certain areas, 4 inches of rain. The heaviest rain really starts cranking up in Vermont really tomorrow. But this is just between now and tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. A lot more rain can fall. A few more inches of rain could fall in the Catskills, the Poconos, up into the Green Mountains, the Berkshires. All these regions right into here can continue to get a lot of rain. And I know you're thinking 2 to 3 inches of rain ain't a lot, Mitch, but when you can get it in like a 1 hour time frame, which this is how it is, you're getting these rounds of really heavy rain, and then it'll lighten up for like a few hours, and then all of a sudden you just get a huge downpour. It rains like an inch in 10-20 minutes, and you get flash flooding. So that's kind of how this rain is, right? So please be careful tonight. And then we get into tomorrow. It's its own deal. It's connected, but it's its own deal. And you see that pink or purplish color on your screen, we'll call it pink. that is a high risk, at least a 70% risk of seeing flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in any given location. The Green Mountains, heavily impacted region here. We got Rutland, what is that, Montpelier. Please correct my punctuation if that's wrong. I'm not going to be offended at all. Up to Burlington. All these small towns and communities, especially in central and northern and northeast Vermont, heavily impacted. Portions of the Adirondacks, especially the eastern portions of the mountains of the Adirondacks, heavily impacted by this. I mean, but you can't ignore the moderate risk down here too. Albany, down to Springfield, all the way down to Hartford, Connecticut, areas of the Berkshires, the Worcester Hills, and then also areas of western New Hampshire have that moderate risk of flash flood guidance being met. But all these small towns and communities, Glen Falls, the Rutland, I already mentioned them. Basically, pretty much any town in Vermont. I don't want to go off on a tangent of just spitting a bunch of different towns and names. Take this serious. I cannot tell you how uncommon a high risk of flash flooding is, but typically it's associated with historic flooding events, guys. I'm not trying to sound the hype alarm to get views or anything. This is serious. It's unfolding right now. So if you're in Vermont and you're screaming yada, 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 I don't see this happening. I know, I hope that, I hope you're not saying that. I really do. I hope you're staying aware. But here's a special statement from the Weather Prediction Center. Just saying that additional rain falling on saturated soils, which is saturated already, will make widespread flash flooding likely, especially in the high-risk areas. Considerable flooding impacts are expected across much of Vermont and nearby areas. So this is a big deal. And another thing that we'll read here outside, this is basically that day 2 high-risk discussion. And I got this highlighted here. It says, there are likely to be scattered flash flood emergencies declared. Okay, there's already one that was declared right now. There might be more, since I started this video, along with mudslides, widespread flash flooding of not only small creeks and streams, but also larger rivers. The widespread flooding is expected to be, it could be an anomaly, if you will, to the 2013 Irene remnants events for this area, though this time no tropical storms are associated with this rainfall. So I imagine most of you folks in the Northeast know what Irene done to you guys. Trust me, I don't have it all memorized, but I know it caused catastrophic flooding for portions of the Northeast. And this happens typically when you get these tropical systems that really ride up into the Northeast and flow into this region. But, this is just a stalled frontal boundary. So this is how serious this is going to be and is right now already. So this is a big deal, guys, okay? But we'll start off for tomorrow. We moved a little bit further north, so we're really focusing in on this area. We'll start off tomorrow morning. This is what the HRRR model is saying. And we keep going here, guys. And we're around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Heavy rains going right over the Adirondacks, the Green Mountains, the Berkshires. It's starting to clear out somewhat for the Poconos and the Catskills, but still could be raining. A lot of heavy rain could really get going. Some of those... Basically, if you're up against any kind of hills, you're a valley town, which most towns in this area of the northern New England area are valley towns. They live in these valleys, or either if you're in higher elevations. These creeks, streams, when they flood, they go down these elevations and they go down to these towns and they flood them out. And this is what we worry about. But we get into tomorrow afternoon, it is still raining cats and dogs in Vermont, New Hampshire, especially Vermont, northern sections of New York State. Look at all this heavier rain down here in Massachusetts, just not as widespread. But you guys could get just multiple rounds of storms en masse. We cannot ignore the flooding threat in Massachusetts too, especially in these higher hills. But it just stays rain in Vermont. We're at 5 o'clock tomorrow. We got some heavier rain now beginning to shift a little bit further into New Hampshire, still raining in northern New York State. And it's not going to be a good scenario. Finally, as we're waking up Tuesday morning, this lightens up. But rainfall between now and Tuesday morning, adding up what we already talked about, some areas could see a foot of rain from this. Some areas might have already seen over a half a foot in areas of kind of like the mid-Atlantic, along that I-95 corridor in eastern PA, things like that. But I would argue that these rainfall totals are probably going to do nothing but increase. 5, 6, 7 inches of rain right on top, right smack on top of these Green Mountains regions. the Berkshires, areas of the eastern Adirondacks, the eastern New York states. A lot of rain in this region. So please be aware. That's all I got. I wanted to do my part to keep you guys aware. Stay safe out there. This is a significant event unfolding right now. Praying for you guys. God bless, and I'll have you an update in the morning.